Hi, guys. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to our CAYA classroom. We are going to be talking more about the elements, the koshas, the layers of the energy body within the self. Last month we covered the aura, and so we're going to talk about the elements in the body as well as, where they connect to the fingers, through the fingers. We're going to be doing a mudra and a mantra / visualization piece. We're going to work on kind of integrating this information with actual tools and offering a practice for using them in real time. Okay. We are live both on YouTube and on TikTok. Welcome in, welcome in. Share with your friends if you know anybody who's interested in learning about how their system works, how their energy system works, and so that they can, right, when we know how the system works, we know how to utilize the tools to address imbalances in our system. YouTube, can you guys hear me over there? I want to make sure that the audio is working okay now that I'm trying to use this little thing. Bring your questions if you guys have your inner light map, or you just have a personal journal that you can use to keep track of this info, as well as the practices that I'm going to offer and how you respond to the practices. Remember that inner light map is available on patreon.com/move with change. It's a $5 4 PDF download, 4-page download that you can print off as many times as you want to track every single one of these classes and the tools that I'm offering and the practices that we're practicing within these classes. The goal is by the end of the year, if you're using an inner light map or you're using your like a personal journal, then by the end of the year you will have a map of yourself, a map of your energy patterns, a map of tools that work for you, a map of tools that have been offering balance or things that don't work, so that you know that these are not ready, things you want to try right this second, right? So I think I have to flip the camera so you guys can see those words. And YouTube, I think the camera's already flipped. Maybe. Anybody want to be my tech person in the background? Anybody want to exchange tech help for coaching and classes and things like that? Let me know. It says excellent, but I don't know if you guys can hear me over on YouTube, because I don't know if this is working. I don't know if you can hear everything in the background either. Well, I guess it is what it is. I will go ahead. Hey, thank you for the friend. Thank you for the gift, friend. Thank you for the friend gift. Thank you for the gift, friend. I'll just wear this as an accoutrement to what I'm wearing today. So if it works over on YouTube, we will have a fantastically clear audio, as you can hear over here on TikTok. There are things going on outside. And we have kids in the neighborhood who like to ride their quads, which I am 110% behind. But that may happen during class. So I will try to pause, but this can only go to one place. I need a tech person, guys. If anybody feels inspired by the stuff that I'm doing over here, then send me a message. Okay. If anybody wants to pop over to YouTube and see if it's working, let me know. Let me switch the camera here, mirror the video. Now you can see it correctly. Yes. Okay. It's going to be weird because YouTube and... All right, we got this. Can you guys see the board okay? I guess you don't need to get any closer to that, huh? Okay. I got stones in my pockets. There it is. There's the other one I wanted. Thank you guys for the follows and the gifts and everything. We are just kind of showing up for class. Just barely getting started here. Like I said, we will do a review of last week, so we'll talk about the the chakras. The chakras, the development of the chakras, where the chakras are. Then we'll also briefly touch on the different koshas and the pranas, the movement of elements, the movement of energy through our system, as well as elements and the channels of the elements in our system. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them out whenever you have them. I will try to briefly answer and then return to the topic. Replays are on YouTube at Move With Change. If you follow me anywhere, go follow me on YouTube, because there's a whole library of replays that I haven't put into archive just yet. I do have even more in archive. Again, a membership for that. If you want that, that's over on Patreon as well. I Move With Change on Patreon. I Move With Change on TikTok. I Move With Change on YouTube. I am Move With Change, and the only movement change that you will find on any of the platforms. If it's not me and you find somebody else, give me a heads up and let me know, so I can stop saying that mostly. All right. So let's talk energy. We've got 2 hours. We've got about, to chat about this stuff. So, hi, dog. Dog has joined us down below. Hello, sir. Obligatory pets. Obligatory pets before we start, right? Hey, quit sniffing the mic. I hope that comes across on YouTube as like a really loud ASMR. Yeah, you. Do you want to be my model for the chakras? Huh? Your crown chakra, and your ajna chakra, and your throat chakra, and your heart chakra, and your solar plexus? Huh? Okay. Alright, go lay down. Okay, guys. Hey, Nella, thank you. I shaved it all off on my birthday last year. Clean slate. So now it is growing back. Sir, you're going to have to go lay down, or I'm going to have to get up. Please go lay down. Okay. Let's talk about the chakras. Let's talk about the development of the chakras, right? Most of us are familiar with the 7 major chakras, 7 main chakras. Your root, your sacral, your solar, your heart, throat, brow, and crown. These are as follows. Your root chakra, or in Sanskrit, the Muladhara chakra, resonates at the frequency of the color red. That's why it's represented by red. It's not just an arbitrary placement of colors on these energy points. And to note, these are not singular energy points, right? Sometimes we refer to, like, if I put my pinky on the chakra, you're not going to find it an exact point. It is a energy center, and that energy has a movement, has a breath, has a frequency or a color that it resonates at, just like the colors that we see out in the world, right? These are matter vibrating at different frequencies, and those frequencies are akin to the colors, or in line with the colors. Okay, so your root chakra, your Muladhara chakra, if you are sitting down, you are sitting on it right now. It's your root chakra. It starts it's at your pelvic floor. And this is our area that rules just kind of a basic connection to our body. Fear is the, what's it called? The demon, so to speak, or the struggle of this chakra. Usually it's the sign that the chakra is somehow out of balance if you experience a degree of fear. Now, a perfectly balanced root chakra may still experience appropriate fear, but not these more imbalanced or repeated fears that come up, right? Or we call them unfounded or ungrounded fears. Literally, the root chakra is our grounding. So that's the root, and it develops between the ages up until 6 months. About 6 months, the first 6 months of life is when the energy of your root chakra decides where to settle in a pattern. That's why they say the first 5 years or so of development are really, really important, because they deal with more than half the chakras. 5, 6, 7. So up until about age 6 months, this chakra is is adjusting to all the information, internal and external information about our environment, about our experience, about our energy, about our caregivers, about, the food we eat, the air we breathe, all the stuff. Our energy bodies, when we come in, we are full of energy, of prana, and that energy doesn't have any real patterns yet. We may come in with the strengths and weaknesses. We come in with our own signature of energy, so depending on our environment, that will influence how that energy settles. So we're talking about the root chakra. Up until the age of 6 months, that's what we get. That's where the root chakra decides, okay, am I safe in my body? Am I allowed to be alive? Is it okay to exist here on this plane, right? Okay, so those are the big questions that the root chakra deals with. Then we have the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra is located between your pubic bone and the bottom of your belly button. So if you were to take your pinky and your thumb here and place your thumb in your belly button and then use your pinky to find the top of your pubic bone, you are going to find that is the area for your sacral chakra. Now this resonates at the color orange. And remember, these are not there's not a single color, a single shade that everybody's going to have. But these are fluctuating, and depending on your energy and your balance, you may notice that yours, when you start viewing your energy or seeing your chakras more clearly, you may notice yours is a little bit richer or deeper, or sometimes more lighter, even pastel. I have seen my own chakras, my own energy shift in the tone, right, of the color. So our sacral chakra answers the question of whether or not the universe will respond to our needs. Now, this is a different place of my needs or will, so it develops between about 6 months to about 18 months to 2 years. During that time, evolution sort of tells us, right? Our energy tells us that we are expecting to be taken care of. We are otherwise pretty helpless. We can't meet our own needs. And the only way we have to really request is to wiggle and screech and do these other things that that our caregivers have to interpret. So what does that set us up for? That sets us up for our energy here in the sacral to decide, does the universe meet my needs? Is this a naturally generous place to be? Are my caregivers naturally attentive? Are they going to be concerned and concern themselves with my well-being, right? So this is a deeper, more intimate connection with our caregivers, with our family, with the world itself, with Source. I like to call this our umbilical cord to Source. And the question here is, am I going to be cared for? And that information is taken in mostly, or primarily, the primary focus during 6 months to about 2 years. That's the sacral chakra. That's what that's doing right there. And what do we see with our children at that age? What are they doing but figuring out how to get their needs met, right? And if they have their needs very well met by their caregivers, they may not go out and seek more or seek other ways of getting their needs met. Yeah. So, was there anything else? Orange, 6 months to 2. Feel free, like I said, to throw your questions out there if you have any as we go through. I will try to answer them briefly and hop back on topic. Let me plug my computer in. I really hope this thing's working and we're getting actual better sound over there on YouTube. Oh, no, it's not, because it's not turned on. Somebody tech me. Somebody please tech me. All right, guys. We're on the sacral. I'm trying to make sure that I hit the same points on each chakra. So we're going to go ahead and move up. Let me know if I forgot anything or if you have any other questions. Then we work on the solar plexus chakra. The solar plexus is, let's do the same thing. Make your little shaka here with your finger, pinky and thumb out. Place your thumb or your pinky in your belly button this time and your thumb at the base of your sternum. Now this expanse here, this is your solar plexus. This develops between about 2 years to about four-ish, yeah. Remember that these are not exact timelines either. You don't suddenly wake up on your 2-year-old birthday and then shift into a different energy. However, if you look at a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, what I always like to say is that's when you see prana, right? Life force or source in its full expression of manifestation, of creativity, in its full expression of, holy moly, I am here and I can affect my world. The solar plexus vibrates at the frequency of yellow. Remember, that can be a range of yellow, brighter yellows to darker yellows. I notice sometimes, especially with imbalances in these lower chakras, sometimes the energy will actually kind of shift a little bit where you'll have a darker, more orange. Let's say you've got a big sacral chakra. It may influence the color, the tone of your solar plexus as well as the tone of your root chakra. Same thing goes for the other chakras. If my solar plexus is really big and huge, it's going to influence the tone, the shades of my other chakras as well. Because these are not isolated points, right? This is an energy biosphere. My kid likes to use biome, an energy biome. This is your energy biome. Thank you, Nikki. Hey, friend, how are you? Okay, so within your energy biome, all this energy moves around within that, right? So it's not separated. It's not, yeah, okay. Solar plexus. This in, what's it called? Erik Erikson's stages of social emotional development. This is my center. This is my center for industry versus inferiority. This is my center for autonomy versus shame and doubt, right? So shame, doubt, those are the kind of challenges of an imbalanced sacral. And if we are experiencing these in excess, we likely have a deficiency or an imbalance, right, where the energy is actually pulling in instead of expressing itself in a bigger way. So here we have industry versus inferiority. Can I do shit? Can I get stuff done? Am I allowed to speak up, which will later influence my heart and my throat chakra, right? These experiences here will influence how these other chakras as well as how these lower chakras respond. But between the ages of 2 and 4-ish, my solar plexus chakra is deciding how best to settle into a rhythm. Remember, these patterns, these rhythms, thank you guys for all the love, these patterns, these rhythms later become our triggers, our habits, our beliefs, our perspectives, our projections, our ego characters, our emotional triggers. This is how I become me in terms of the nurture aspect. When we're growing up, nature versus nurture, right? Nature says, I am born with my own energetic signature. And yes, we can relate this to astrology or numerology or many of the other things that we use to look at the self, at the whole self in a lens, right? That's my signature. And each of us have our own energy signature, as unique as your fingerprints, as unique as the shape of your iris. That's why we have multiple children in the same household with very similar upbringings may have very different responses to the energy in that household, because you have a unique signature too. And that is nature versus nurture, is nature and nurture interacting with each other. Hold on, I had a question here really quick. Mimi, do I do specific meditations to target certain chakras? Yes, you absolutely can. And because this whole year, this is our 2025 Inner Light series. Every month we're going to be covering a different part of the energy system. So as soon as we start with the root chakra in April, I'm going to bombard you with everything I can give you regarding that specific chakra. So if you want chakra specific stuff, we will be doing a lot more of that with each month: April, May, June, July, August, September, and October. Cover the 7 chakras. Next month, we're going to be doing the stellar chakra, or excuse me, the earth chakras, the lower chakras, and then in November, we'll be doing the stellar chakras and soul chakras, and so we'll work on pieces for those as well. January, we covered the aura, so I offered tools for the whole system, specifically the aura, or just the energy flow and movement. And then this month, I'm working on tools for the elements in the body, the koshas, the energy bodies within us, and the elements. So I will offer a specific meditation today. Actually, I'm going to offer a couple of tools today, so I'm really glad you asked. Hey, Beth. So stay tuned, Mimi, also, and I want to remind everybody to go to patreon.com/move with change and get yourself an inner light map. It's a 4-page download. It's just $5. And I created it so you can reprint it every single time for every single tool I offer. If you don't want to go pay the $5 for it and support the work that I do, you don't have to. You can get your own notebook, journal, and keep track of these things. I encourage you to keep track of these things, because by the end of the year, when you do this all year long, you're going to have a whole book that I wanted to write a book, but the reality is what you need is a book with your tools and your responses and your reactions and what works for you and not, right? And your energy patterns. Because I could write a general text, but there's plenty of general text out there. I want you to write your own text through these classes. So thank you for asking. Keep an eye out all for the, in those months for chakra specific tools. Thank you for the follow. You're welcome. That's okay, Beth. I'm glad you're here. Thank you, Juliana. Hello, everyone. Okay, so let's see. The kind of text that can help us where we are at. A big tenet, and I'll just briefly side note this here, a big tenet of what we talk about in this space is that you are your own guru, right? And this does not negate the need or the use for another guru outside of you, or another teacher, or another source of wisdom. Those are absolutely valuable and can help us through our process. Thank you, friend. However, this is the example I always use. When you go find the bestest, most wise, most guru of gurus out there, and this guru says, close your eyes and focus all of your attention on the tip of your nose. You can close your eyes. The guru can see when you don't, right? So they can pester you and say, hey, close your eyes. But if you close your eyes and you let the mind monkeys wander off to a bunch of nonsense, and you just sit there and let them wander off, your guru can't do anything about that. Part of developing our inner wisdom, our inner guru, is the acknowledgement that it is an exchange. It's not just me being forced, thank you, friend, being forced by somebody else, or me following someone else's path. That is how many of us end up in really not great situations, because we say, well, this was the greatest path that all these people followed. That can be helpful. But even within that path, we have to find our truth within each of those paths. Otherwise, it's not really applicable. If I keep using the same mudra that's not fucking working for me because my energy is a little bit different than the other person who suggested the mudra, who it works for all the time, hey Dawn, then I'm going to be actually aggravating my system. So either grab yourself a journal or go to Move with Change, patreon.com Move with Change, and grab that Inner Light. It's a PDF. It's $5 to download. Like I said, I wanted to make a whole text to give you guys all this information, but this is like 20 stinking years of me studying, practicing, exploring, reading, certifications and workshops and classes and all this stuff. It's going to be a huge text. But what's more valuable is you and your inner guru developing a relationship, so that what I say is that you can find your inner captain. Right? I am the first mate to my inner captain. My ego, my energy patterns, my emotions, these are my pirate crew. These are my crew, and they have purposes. They are always working for me. They have my best interests at heart, even if they don't know how to accomplish those best interests. But my captain does. And my guru doesn't know my captain. Live, Patreon, yes, Patreon, let me see. Yes, Patreon. I have link in bio. Link in bio. You can go to patreon.com, and I think there's a Linktree one as well, but Patreon works best. Yeah, you can check that out. I have memberships there. I have a shop there. If you want to support the work that I do, I offer these classes totally for free. The only thing I charge for really are the things I put in the shop and memberships for coaching and things like that. So I appreciate all of you who do participate. You guys are keeping the lights on and moving me into, yeah, abundance. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so with that brief, let's see. Okay. Oh, Juliana, sorry, a request for the pants. Okay, real quick, and then we really will talk about it. I found these the other day. This is my thrift store find, and they make me really happy. So I've worn them twice this week. All right. Where were we? Thank you. So we were on the solar plexus. For those of you talking about that inner guru piece and finding our inner captain, for those of us who struggle with fear, trust issues, or confidence issues, self-esteem sort of imbalances and stuff, that is often these early chakra imbalances, right? And one of the best ways to improve or to regain balance in these lower chakras is to start to develop a better relationship with the inner self. Remember what we're talking about as far as development? The first 6 months of your life, the root chakra, first 6 months of your life, you're nonverbal. The brain doesn't even have capacity to solidify memory in the same way it does when it gets older. In fact, the brain is still in theta brainwaves. What is theta brainwaves? That's when we're REM sleep time. That's when you are laying in bed, eyes closed, flickering around because you're dreaming. Up until the age of 8, we don't come out of the theta brainwaves completely. And then by like 8, 9, we phase out of them. And then we become more conscious. Why? What's happening? My mind is not the one who's deciding who I am. It's my energy, because my mind can get distracted. My mind is not as perceptive as my energy is. My mind has a job, and it does that job quite well. But it is not the job that my energy does, right? And my energy is tasked with keeping me safe while I'm unconscious, while my mind is unconscious. So when we deal with those fear, shame, self-doubt kind of issues, they can be so deeply ingrained in our energy patterns that it feels impossible to reach them. We may struggle to reach them in talk therapy or other forms. Now, I'm not negating those. Please use any and all kinds of therapies that work for you, that you enjoy and are currently working, or you might think work, right? Go try them out. Don't stick to just one, because usually, yeah. So, with these practices, with energy work, with mindfulness practices, meditation, breath work, mantras, things like that, those are designed to get down into our energy bodies, into the elements in our system, into the patterns in our system, not the ones that the brain, the conscious mind, knows or talks about, but the deeper ones. So that's why we're learning all of this, right? And that's why you are tracking your experiences, your tools, your energy, so that you can find out, oh, you know what? Every single morning, my sacral energy is all blah, 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 blah. Turns out I go get coffee for that and cake. I end up with lots of sugars in the morning because my ability to take care of myself and meet my needs feels doubtful first thing in the morning. Some old energy pattern. Who knows where? Right? We could try to tell the story. It doesn't, the story's not quite as important because that engages the brain again. So, back to the chakras. We were reviewing the chakras. Here we are. We're on the solar plexus. If there was anything else about the solar plexus I forgot, let me know. Oh, I didn't give you the Sanskrit. Muladhara is the root chakra. I had to look at it. Muladhara is the Sanskrit term for the root chakra. Svadhisthana is the Sanskrit term for your sacral chakra. Manipura is the Sanskrit term for your solar plexus chakra. Now, let's move ourselves up to the heart. If you place your hand in the center of your chest, this is where your heart chakra is. This resonates at the color green, at the frequency of green, and is responsible for compassion and connection. But remember, we talked about connection on a lower level down here in the sacral, connection on an even lower level in the root, right? My connection to the physical body, my connection to the abundance of the universe. And this is a more intentional connection. This is going to be influenced also by how these lower chakras balanced. Do I want to go off on a tangent on that or not? No, let's stay focused here. This is the Anahata chakra in Sanskrit, and develops between the ages of about 5, 6, 7 is when we really start seeing kind of heart-centered energy. And again, you'll notice this in children. We may have a naturally sharing, naturally compassionate, naturally attentive young child, but that doesn't mean that it's a conscious, oh, I recognize that the other person has a need and therefore I'm going to fulfill it. When it happens at those lower stages, it's more a modeling, it's more a parroting, it's more a repeating things that they've seen or they have been told, right, are good. And that comes from social conditioning, and we all get that. So up here in the heart chakra, the age is about 5 to 7, and this is our center for compassion, our center for love, our center for connection, our center for beginning to see value in ourselves, beginning to get to a slightly less tangible place, right? This is my ability to like tangibly move the freaking earth, like to interact with the earth and the other material in this universe. Sacral chakra is about my physical need to be fed and to nourished and to sleep and to be comforted, right? My root is about my physical ability to just be alive in my body and be okay on this planet. Am I safe or not, right? But then we get up into the heart, and that becomes something a little bit more expanded. This isn't so material. It's something I can experience. It's an experience I can share with someone else. Before these stages, the brain is still pretty egocentric, and it's still in the REM sleep time. It's still in the theta brainwaves time. We're not completely conscious as these lower chakras develop. Then I move up into my throat chakra. Pause. Pause for ATVs. Pause for kids having fun. Then we move up into the throat chakra. The throat chakra resonates at the color blue. This is the Vishuddha chakra in Sanskrit, and develops after the age of, so like 8, 9, 10. The big thing about the throat chakra, obviously this is my center for expression, right? My ability to express what I feel or think or ideas I have, right? This becomes even more ethereal now, right? This was something not so hard material kind of thing, whereas these lower chakras were. Now we're expanding a little bit wider here with these. The important piece that I really like to harp on here is that this is our center for truth. Our ability to receive someone else's truth, our ability to speak our own truth, our ability to validate somebody else with a different opinion than ours, or feel very closed off to receiving someone else's different opinion, or the need to force our opinion on others. What do you think that sounds like? If my throat chakra is throwing arrows at people to defend my ego, where do you think I have a big chakra, right? Where is there an excess energy lower than the throat? Often the solar plexus. The solar plexus is if we feel thwarted or imbalanced or forgotten in these lower chakras, the first and second chakra, we may often end up with that energy screaming out of the solar plexus. Because this is the first time my energy body says, wait, I can take it. I can do it. I can demand it. I can throw a tantrum in the grocery store and mom will just give me the toy because she doesn't want to hear me scream. Now I don't go through all that. My energy just says A to B, right? A to Z, done. Great. I'm going to keep doing that pattern because especially if we have these lower imbalances or we've been forgotten in these lower chakras in these earlier years, not taken care of in a way that satisfies our needs, then that energy has to go somewhere. and it's not going to stay in my root. If I don't feel safe in my body, my energy goes, we're not safe. So we have to do something about it. We're going to move up. We're going to pull that energy up. The more unsafe messages that I get in my lower experiences, the higher that energy is going to pull. You may very well end up with someone who very much intellectualizes emotions, somatic experiences, and anything else. You may end up with somebody who becomes extremely spiritual but disconnected from their compassion, or completely denies their body. And in fact, there are spiritual paths where you can completely deny and even harm your body on that spiritual path. And it's thought as a way to lift your energy up. Now, I'm not going to, again, you are your own guru. You choose your path for you. Bianca, hi friend. Is there a book I recommend that says just this info? It's funny because that says this info. I was just noting about how I want to write a book on all of this, but there's so much of it. It's going to be a huge text. I have received this information from 12 years in university, several workshops and other things after that, certification programs and stuff, and just a lifetime of personal exploration in energy work, and energy bodies. And just spirituality. I'm a reverend and have been so for 10 years now, and was gifted my family's style of energy work as a young child. So this information, a lot of it for me, is the accumulation of all of that work. So what I recommend, and what I was saying a minute ago, what I recommend is you either grab yourself a notebook that you commit to using for this Inner Light, I'm calling it our Inner Light series, this class this year, and keep track of the tools, of the info, whatever resonates with you, what feels most important to you, what tools feel good to you, or what tools don't. Even those, mark them down and say, hey, this particular mudra or that particular mantra gave me a headache, made my stomach upset, made me really struggle to sleep later that night. Keep track of all those things, because instead of me publishing a standard with all the text for everything and everybody, at the end of the year, you will end up with your book about your patterns and the tools that work for you and the mantras that work for you and the energy that, or the info, right, that helps you understand your system. Thank you guys. I'm just grateful for the opportunity here with social media to share this stuff. I mean, I've been wanting to share for a long time, but a lot of my experience has been kind of like, no, you can't talk about it. No, you can't share it. And actually, it wasn't until TikTok came out. I have tried on other platforms to share this stuff, and it's just dead in the water, and remains that way, and currently is pretty much the same. The other platforms don't share it, but here on TikTok, I've had the unique opportunity of being able to literally just turn on the camera and start talking to you guys, and through this is our second year now doing this full-on teaching online, and we have 11,700 followers, which is freaking amazing. And I'm grateful for every one of you guys that encourages me, that supports me, whether it be through sharing, interacting with content, or financially, or through memberships, or just your support in other ways. I love you guys so much. So, Lacey, you're very welcome, everyone. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, thank you. So, as a side note, remember that Inner Light journal, so that you can create your own Inner Light map, is on patreon.com/move a change. Link is in bio on both here on TikTok and over on YouTube. My replays for these classes are on YouTube. So if you're just coming here and you're just finding me, go over to YouTube. I'm at Move a Change on YouTube, and you will find at least the last several of these Wednesday classes, and you will find way more of my Friday Tiny Yoga classes and my previous other variations of classes that I have in the last year-ish more. Pow wow wow, hey friend, is this series every day at the same time? Not currently, but I'd really like to. I have a bad habit of this is my favorite delivery, this is my favorite form of delivery, so I kind of just want to come on and talk to you guys about it and answer questions, and I'd love to be able to do that on a regular basis. Honestly, here's the truth. If doing so can actually generate the type of financial income, right, that allows me to do that, I'm going to keep doing it. The more memberships I get, the more purchases at the shop, gives me more time to do this more. That's really it. I want to add the caveat, right? I'm not doing it so that because you guys have to pay me. I'm not doing it because I want to become some super wealthy, whatever. I don't need that much money. I don't need it. However, I teach, I share, because it is more true than just about anything else about me. If you and I ran into each other somewhere else, I would absolutely answer your questions. I would share this info with you if there was a reason to share it. I'm not going to accost you on the street and be like, hey, everybody hear about chakras. But if there's some reason, I am absolutely going to share it with you for free. And it's always been my truth. And TikTok has given me the unique opportunity to sit here and be in that truth. My experience here teaching online has been an experiment in authenticity, when for so long, because of my own lower chakra imbalances, I didn't know how to do this. I didn't know how to be in my truth. I didn't know how to be authentic. I didn't know how to show up to share this stuff. And I felt so much doubt and shame and fear around it. That's even more so. I'm grateful to all of you for being able for allowing me to show up and responding in the way that you have. So, Pint-sized pixie, set more alarms. If you're not already, I'm sorry, one more thing. If you're not already in the Discord, we have a free link on Patreon to join our Discord space. I spend more time in the Discord because I'm not doing all the lives, and I'd like to bring more stuff into the Discord. But the Discord is a space where we have a growing community. We've got over 200 members in there now, which is really awesome. And I do post stuff in there specifically. We do have specific activities within the Discord, plus the schedule is usually there. I don't because I've been trying to figure out my schedule. And every year I do this, and I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me at the beginning of the year, every year, while I'm trying to reshift things. Awesome. Yay, Dawn. Okay, cool. Nice. Yes, the mudras are one of my biggest, right? Those are one of my favorite things. And we have a whole replay archive of all the mudras, actually here on TikTok too, a bunch of content. I've been trying to post more. I really need somebody who will help me edit my lives. If you guys can help me go back into these lives and cut out the pieces where I share all these different tools, I can even offer more. So, and I'm happy to trade a membership for that, right? All right, where were we? We were on the Vishuddha chakra. The Vishuddha chakra, which I have clearly opened up. My energy in my Vishuddha chakra was for a long time imbalanced. Have you ever been one of those people or met one of those people who just can't stop talking about all the shit going on in their life? That was kind of me. Verbal processor. But again, verbal processor, you know where that came from? These energies down here. A lot of fear, shame, doubt of self, right? Sensations of feeling, unable to accomplish things or to do things that brought me safety and satisfaction and connection. What I found eventually growing up, and many of you may relate to this, is that as we move through the chakras, you may notice at some point in your development, my energy, I should say, notices, hey, now I am validated. Let's use an example. Culturally, here in the West, we tend to give boys a little more permission to be more overt, more loud, more rough, right? Boys will be boys. Girls don't do that, but boys will be boys. I'm just talking about the cultural archetype, overarching sort of theme. So don't argue with me. You don't have to argue with me about this one. It's just a theme. So when that happens, what happens? But our young boys getting that message go, aha, now I feel confident, I feel safe, right? Even though maybe earlier on there were some messages that they weren't safe in their body. Let's say there was trauma immediately after birth, or something physical happened, or something just literally scared the biz out of them. So it happens. Then in the sacral chakra, maybe that child was put on a feeding schedule that was arbitrary to what the child actually needed, and the child regularly experienced hunger or discomfort or maybe the child was colicky, right? These things can offer imbalances in these lower chakras. And then if you're that little boy who then learns this energy here in the solar and gets loud and goes and takes the toys they want and goes and steals the snacks from the pantry and goes and fights another kid for what have you, and if that's okay, then that energy stays there. If this is successful, it stays there. If it's not successful, the energy goes up. So now, again, we're talking about gender stereotypes. We're talking about stereotypes in the West. As a young girl, I was definitely given the message, you're not supposed to be loud. You're not supposed to speak out of turn. You're not supposed to have too much fucking opinion, right? And definitely don't be rough. The first time I found validation was about between the ages of 5 to 7 when I started helping my mother with whatever her tasks she had. When I started offering hugs instead of, fighting for something. When I gave up my toy or my snack to somebody who really wanted it. Well, then my first experience of really being safe and validated and seen was in this heart chakra energy. So many of us may have experienced something similar where at some point during our development, aha, now my energy, which is tasked with keeping me safe, says, here it's safe. Here it's okay to express. For me, because of when I was born, Virgo, Gemini, and other things that give me a bunch of throat chakra energy, it moved right through here. It developed an ego character that was very focused on the things I did for other people and to tell people what I thought was best for them. Very stereotypical Virgo, much earlier. I know the answer for you. I'm going to figure out what the answer is if I don't know it already, and then I'm going to tell you how to do it. I'm going to make sure you do it by consistently being verbally berating or controlling or these other things. I found more power and more validation in my heart and in my throat and then in the upper chakras than I ever did in these lower chakras. That meant that left me with being very disconnected and disassociated from my body for much of my life. I'm 40 now. Hi. And don't worry, Thomas, I still have the milk cartons on top of my wooden bookshelf. For anybody curious, milk cartons are one of the most valuable things on the planet because they are so stinking versatile and very hard to find unless you go buy the Walmart cheap crap. Yeah. So that's a side note. Past story. Inside joke. Okay. So where are we? We are in the heart. No, we're in the throat chakra. I was sharing my personal experience and how these energies end up balancing themselves out in these different places or in these different ways. How they develop our ego characters. How they develop our energy patterns. So what was, for a long time, my first response to a need, my first response to how to get my needs met, how to get my needs satisfied, how to get safety, how to get comfort, those sorts of things, would be to engage with these chakras. So, before I go deeper into that, let's go through the rest of the chakras and we'll come back down. Vishuddha chakra, blue. This is my center for expression and creativity, but also my center for truth and ability to express as well as my ability to receive. This is my quality listening skills. Do I have good listening skills? No? Well, then my throat chakra is excessive, or we call it, right, it's expansive. It's really big. It's going to be pushing out energy, and I'm not going to be able to receive a lot of energy, just like a hose. When water is coming spraying out of that hose, there's not much backflow. When your chakra is big and open and screaming, there's not much backflow. And every chakra actually has to have an in and out, up and down, circular, and all these other stuff. There's, again, it's not just like a compartmentalized system. So, did I mention everything here? Sanskrit, Vishuddha chakra, develops between the ages of 8, 9, 10-ish. Hey, Court, how are you? Okay, so then we'll move up to the brow chakra, probably one of the most well-known chakra, right? The third eye chakra. So again, it is a center, it's a space, and each of these chakras, by the way, actually correlate to physical parts of the body, clusters of things like nerve endings or your endocrine system or heart and things like that, your digestive system, like they actually correlate to physical points in the body. So for the people who go, oh, chakras are nonsense, we have research and study and use of energy body stuff, chakras, since as far back as 1500 BC. So do with that what you will. This is the Ajna chakra, or the brow chakra, or the third eye chakra. It resonates at the color purple, usually a pretty deep purple. It can be lighter in color, but this is... No, we'll get to that in a minute. Purple. Was there anything else about this one? Obviously, this is my center for higher thinking. This is wisdom. This is not really about my prefrontal cortex. And in fact, if I rely heavily on my brain and my prefrontal cortex, I'm actually going to be disconnected. I'm actually going to thwart or dampen the flow of energy that's supposed to be moving freely through my third eye chakra. The this one, this part of your brain can actually help shut that down. It acts like a gate to keep this closed so that the communication is not as clear or further causes confusion when that information is traveling across that information highway for our ability to communicate with our higher self, guides, source, all that stuff, as well as with our lower self, demons, shadows, doubts, and all that kind of stuff, ego and those sorts of, I shouldn't say ego can be somewhere in between. Okay. Throw your questions out at any point. Again, if I miss anything, please let me know. So communication, color, name. Okay. Crown chakra. Your crown chakra, your Sahasrara chakra. Sorry, my Sanskrit is not perfect, but I'm learning. The Sahasrara chakra is represented by a light purple, violet to white color. If you have any interest in viewing your chakras, you can always use these as like a loose guideline for what you might perceive and focus on that. Otherwise, I encourage you to open up to receive whatever energies or whatever colors you see. And if you're doing energy viewing and you are seeing colors, and if you note that like it's green up here, I don't want you to suddenly be like, oh no, all my chakras are way out of balance. Remember, this is a finely tuned skill. Can we see chakra and aura color with our physical eyes? Yes. The color that is emitted from the physical body does emit this actual light, actual color that can be perceived. It's a very, 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 very low, like right at the edge of what we can and cannot perceive, and actually takes practice to be able to perceive. So if you're not there yet and you want to get there, right? Yeah, we can do this. Everybody can. Everybody can. We all can. Okay. Sometimes I find even if you have issues with vision, physical vision, it's easier to see chakra energy with the other end of the scale. Okay. Crown chakra, Sahasrara chakra. This develops on beyond, right? This is our connection to source. This is our connection to the ether. This is our I was going to say exit, right? This is where our energy is ultimately lifting out of the material up into the ethereal. So as we evolve, our energy is, or evolve on a spiritual basis, on a personal basis, our energy is expanding out as well as going both up and down, because that's an expansion as well, right? And if you'll notice, this chakra and the root chakra are at a different angle, right? For all these other ones, I went like this and like this and like this and like this, or not there. They're on the front of the body. But this one and this and the root one, because they are the top and bottom of your central energy channel. This is my Shushuma central energy channel. And that energy is where we receive lunar energy, yin energy from the root, and solar energy, yang energy from the crown. Okay. And this continues developing as you grow, right? Later on. All right. Briefly, top, bottom of your main energy channel. Front of each of your chakras: brow, throat, heart, solar, sacral. Back of each of your chakras. The top and the bottom obviously have a front and a back, right? Up top and bottom. The sacral chakra, the solar chakra, the heart chakra, and the throat chakra all have a back of the chakra directly behind it. These are all parallel to the earth. These are my ways of interacting with the matrix, these chakras. And this is my way of staying connected to spirit or the ethereal. This is actually at a 45-degree angle. The back of the brow chakra is down here by the pineal gland, is where your spine reaches your head, right? Your skull. So That's the only one at an angle. Why? Because it connects us between the matrix, the material, and the ethereal, and the higher self, right? So, structure of the energy body, development of the energy body, names for all the chakras. Now, we have 5 major elements that move through our body. Those are, the channels come through our hands, and they are represented by, thumb is fire, pointer is air, middle is ether or spirit, ring is earth, and pinky is water. And we can use, the reason we love mudras in here is because mudras use those energy channels to balance, realign, redirect, fortify, strengthen, right? Different elements within our system, and that can address specific issues. And yes, we can use mudras specific to each chakra because the chakras are also ruled by different elements, right? This is all an interrelated, intertwined system here. Ellie, that's not at all the topic of, I have no comment. Not interested in having that conversation. So, these elements are then associated with, for example, the root chakra is our center for the earth element. Our sacral chakra is our center for the water element. Our solar plexus is our center for fire. Air is here in the heart. Yes, sir. Is it important or is it just passing? People are just passing by. You're all right. Okay. The heart. And then ether is the throat and the third eye. So thank you guys for the love. Thank you guys for the follows. Court. I have physical disabilities that limit my mudra mobility. Thoughts on efficacy despite this? Yes. So I always encourage you to do your best to get into a mudra. Do your best to get to the mudra as much as you can. If, for example, because we're not all super bendy, right? We're not all our fingers are going to twist the way we want them to. Do your best to get as close as you can, and then invite the mudra. And because of disability, because of tendons, because of tension, right, or things like that, sometimes we may never get all the way to the mudra, but you will get a lot closer if you invite the mudra than if you try to force the mudra and hurt the tendons or break your fingers and things like that, right? This is not a no pain, no gain kind of space. We meet ourselves with curiosity and willingness, and then we can receive. This is curiosity and willingness. This is shame, judgment, expectation, doubt, fear. I can't receive anything like that. But if I am willing to just be curious, what's available to me with this mudra? And how does it feel? Keep that inner light map. Keep a journal. Keep a map. And every time you try it, say, well, I wasn't able to get all the way to it, right? But this is how close I got, and here's what I experienced. You may notice over time, in fact, a lot of people have already reported, and I know that's the thing, if you do the mudras over time, you may find yourself getting easier and easier. You are very welcome, Cord. And remember, too, mudras are not the only tools. We have mantras, we have pranayama, we have a million other practices, not just mantras. My brain was like, mudras, mantras. We have pranayama, we have yogic practices, seated yoga. Remember, Fridays at 10 a.m. I do a chair yoga class that it's a 30-minute flow for everybody in every space. I try to keep it really relatively simple with accessible movements. It's not a class where you're going to like sweat and have major like, oh, I'm so sore from class. This is a be curious and willing within your system, right? So come join me on Fridays for that at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Pint size Pixie, hey, love this. Yeah, you have limited mobility too, but hold on. Puzzle piece. Breathwork and movement helps for that. Breathwork itself is such a important practice, such a powerful practice that honestly, leave the mudras, leave the mantras, leave the asanas, leave any of it, and just focus on your breath. If you want a place to start that's not complicated, just listen to your breath. I dare you, I double dog dare you to go spend one day, it doesn't have to be today, you can put it on your calendar if you need to and schedule it, where all day long your focus is just on your breath, and take notes. You will notice patterns. And just listen to your breath. And then as you move through, maybe add a different practice here and there, and notice how your breath feels at different times of the day with this one little practice. It doesn't have to be complicated. Enlightenment is not about doing the most complicated, most advanced things ever. It's not about being super bendy and being able to do every single yoga pose on your mat, right? Enlightenment is the process of bringing awareness to the deeper and deeper, more subtle layers of self. Light. Awareness is light. It is enlightening the subtle layers of self. Natalie, me too. Natalie says, I have to often remind myself to breathe. Me too. Right? And in fact, in these last several years of major shift in my healing and essentially a commitment, I made a commitment a couple years ago to actually work on myself, actually be with myself, actually build a better relationship with myself. What's one of the first things I noticed? My breath was way out of whack, and there was tension everywhere. In my body, in my jaw, in my shoulders, in my fucking eyes. And it's a process. We take our time. We give it time. We invite the shifts instead of trying to force. I know there's a whole theory about how you can force or push or control, right? But even the term pranayama, which means control of breath, the term does not mean forceful control. It is a kind of presence, of being present with the breath, being in control without force. Court, being present in my body is the mudra sometimes. In fact, mudra, right, the hasta mudras are what we use with our hands. There are all kinds of mudras. Asanas are full body mudras. The mudra is just the position, the gesture, right? And we can have tongue mudras, we can have eye mudras, we can have all sorts of stuff like that. So, yeah. Julia, you too. You realize how shallow you were breathing. Yep. Okay. So that's why we use mudras, because the elements in the body, we talked about where the elements associated with each chakra. Within our system, we have different bodies. We have different, they're called koshas or sheaths. And it's just a way of kind of describing the different layers. Remember, these are all intertwined, all interwoven, right? It's not like a stark walls within us of these energy boundaries. But they are responsible for different workings in our system. So we have our kosha, our physical body. Our physical body is one of our elements, our sheaths. We have our mental body. The mental body, note this, because we have a mental body and an intellectual body. Our mental body actually is the thinking part of the physical self. Remember, the body remembers, somatic healing techniques, all that kind of stuff, the body whispers, because there is a mind, and literally parts of your body have the same tissue as brain tissue, have synapses, like in your gut and in your heart, right? There is a mind that your body has, a knowing that your body has. This is the mental body. Thanks, MJ. How are you? Then we have our energy body. Now, our energetic body, I heard it once described like this, and I really love it. If I have a physical body, and then the mind of my physical body, right? These two pieces, they won't function unless I have the energetic body. That's the source of pranic energy. That's life force that exists within my system. That's the life force that gives my heartbeat a beat, right? That makes those defibrillator cells move in my heart, right? Then when that disappears, when that source of energy, that energetic body falls away, none of these other things work. None of these other things continue to function. Nella, am I versed enough in non-hand mudras to speak on them? I know some of the tongue and eye mudras are the ones I'm really familiar with, but I typically like to offer them with practices. I don't talk at length about eye mudras or tongue mudras unless it's with a particular practice. Mostly because these are the kinds of things where, like for example, the mewing thing that folks do. Again, I'm not like, everybody, you do you. When you get that kind of reaction, I'm like, I just don't get it. I don't understand. But it is kind of a using a tongue mudra to push up the upper palate, and it can have physical changes, but it can also have energetic and emotional things, and work to exacerbate or balance the elements in the body. So when we're doing these things, it's important to be mindful. If you notice yourself naturally inclined to doing something like reaching your tongue further back in your mouth, like curling your tongue into a taco, like pressing your tongue into the behind the front teeth, right? Or dropping your tongue from the top of your mouth into your jaw. If you notice that you do these things, then I encourage you to start using that inner light map or your journal to keep track of them. Just note when you felt inspired to do it, note how it made you feel, right? How long you did it for, and see if you can start to track, because a lot of these things, remember, my body is intuitive. My energy system is actually quite wise, usually more so than my brain, although we rely on our brain a lot more. A lot of times you may find you're already doing a mudra. Same with the eye mudras, but they can also be somewhat dangerous if we use them excessively or in a way that is not appropriate for our systems. So I have to be somewhat careful on some of the things that I share and when I share them. Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question. All right. So we have our Anamaya Kosha. We have our Manomaya Kosha. That's the element. That's the mental body, the somatic self. We have our Pranamaya Kosha, the energetic body. Then we have our intellectual body and our bliss body. So the intellectual body is the brain, is the body that is generated, the energy field for source that is generated by I got to use intellectual because that's mental, physical, mental, energetic, intellectual. And then our bliss body is that state of being, I like to say, when I'm sitting in the captain's chair, when I find myself disengaging from all the different parts, all these different other things, from my need for food or my need for sleep or my need for brain busyness or my need for comfort or these starts to be where I experience my bliss body. We can connect into our bliss body. We can tap into our bliss body. Most of us don't live in our bliss body. I mean, again, maybe like the most guru of gurus might live themselves in that bliss body, depending on their path. Not all paths are bringing us to only experiencing the bliss body, but instead some are there to integrate all these different bodies and our experience of them all, to balance them all. My favorite body is my brain body. Court. Okay, so I did mention last week that there are different types of yoga, different paths of yoga that can help you address different parts of the body, different sheaths. The replay is on YouTube at Move the Change, but briefly, Hatha Yoga balances the physical body. Bhakti Yoga deals with the energetic body. Raja Yoga deals with the mental body. Remember, that's the somatic body, the body's knowing. And then we have Jnana Yoga, which is the intellectual yoga. And we have Karma Yoga, which is the one for the bliss body. The replay is on YouTube if you want to go learn more about those pieces. Okay, we also have pranas, energies. Prana is energy, and we have these energies have different flows in our body. They have different ways to move in our body. We have movement, we have energy that moves out from the center. We have energy that moves from the outside in. We have energy that moves up. We have energy that moves down, and we have energy that circulates through all of the stuff. These are, so you have your, and I'll associate those with where they exist in the physical body. So we have our pranic energy, the yang or solar energy, right, which many of us are familiar with. Prana moves up. This is our upward flowing energy. This is energizing, awakening, solar energy, reaching for the sun kind of energy. Then we have apana energy. Hey, Brian. Apana energy, which is our downward flow, our yin energy, our cooling and soothing energy in our body. So prana, apana. And then we have our samana energy, which actually is our digestive fire that exists here in the digestive system, but all the energy in our system moves from the outside in. That is where and how we cultivate that digestive fire. And so if that energy is not working very well in for digestion, we may struggle with digestive issues. And we're actually going to address that a little bit today with the practice that I'm going to offer in just a little bit as soon as we get through this info. So then we also have our Vayana energy, our circulatory energy. That's where it goes from the inside out. And this is actually rooted, thank you, friend. This is actually rooted in the sacral chakra. Our sacral chakra is ruled by the element of water. So the Vayana energy comes out from that sacral and actually rules our circulatory system and all the movement, the fluidity of the blood in our system, the movement of water in our system. So again, prana, apana, samana, vayana, and then we have udana. Sorry. I'm still learning my Sanskrit. If anybody has a good source or wants to teach me 101, I would be super duper grateful. Udana is the all around integrating all kinds of energy flowing through our system. Court, I envision the gut space as the convergence of energy as it were. Not sure if that's accurate though. There is a convergence of energy, right? Because like you're saying, like I'm pointing out here, the samana energy goes from outward in to deal with our digestion to help us process those things. This solar plexus energy, which is also digestive energy, Agni is what they call it, and digestive fire, right? If our digestive fire is not balanced, we can see that in digestive issues, in eating issues, in our ability to sleep well or insomnia, have insomnia, right? And sleep or not sleep. Our energy levels. If I'm feeling super sluggish and like I can't get myself out of bed kind of stuff, you may very well be lacking in Agni. Mermaid Soul, do you just want me to say it a million times more because I'm stuttering over it? Udana. U-D-A-N-A. That is the energy that moves all in the circulation. Oh, wait, for the circulatory system. That's the integration one. But the Vayana, V-Y-A-N-A, is for our circulatory system. You're very welcome. Okay. So yeah, digestive fire. So, but you mentioned it, the convergence of all the energies. That is actually the heart center. I call it our transfer center. I call it our transformation station, right? Because what happens is that energy from the central energy channel. Here, quick about the structure of the chakras, right? We have our root, we have our crown, and then if we work down through the chakras or to meet the chakras, where's the center chakra? The heart, right? This is the heart is our center chakra, and the heart is where that energy from the lunar energy and solar energy, from yin and yang, from masculine and feminine, from the duality of our matrix, because we are in the matrix right now and we have to deal with these things. So the duality, the pieces, those two pieces that we experience, the Shakti Shiva energy, what happens is they come together in the heart, and this is really where creation manifests. We are vessels for creation. We are vessels for manifestation, right? I like to say we're instruments for the song of the universe, for source. We are instrument for the music of the universe, and we are each unique. So we each have our own song and our own tone and our own energy that we're supposed to, or not supposed to, I can avoid the word, that we can resonate at. And that is the authentic self. That is the balanced and purposeful self, is to be fully embodied in that energy that is truly an aligned system. That's why authenticity is so powerful, because that is the experience of your, hey star, the experience of your whole energy system being balanced and aligned and vibrant. So the two come together and they meet in the heart. Your heart is also Our heart is also our first mode of communication. And if you want to dive deeper into that concept, please go look up the Heart Math Institute. They were really inspiring in terms of like the body of work that they have on the heart. Your heart is your primary mode of communication with the internal and external world. This is actually secondary. Your gut and your brain, gut brain is also secondary. This is your first mode of communication. Okay. Yay, we covered all the review things. We covered all the review. All right, friends. I actually have, what I want to offer today is 2 pieces. First, I'm going to briefly offer a practice, and like I said, my Sanskrit is not perfect, so I apologize if anybody comes in and goes, oh, I'm butchering the Sanskrit. Please reach out to me and tell me and correct me. There is a practice that we can use to help to balance all of the movements of energy in our system. And it's actually a practice of offering food, offering nourishment to source, to God, to whatever deity or angel that you are intending to send it to. If you direction, you can choose a singular and direct it that way, or you can just choose a general. I like the really general prayers of like, this is just for the spiritual benefit of all beings, all that in this existence, right? I'm offering this to all of creation. Hold on a minute, sir. I know you heard me say food. Okay, so for this practice, we use the element channels in our fingers. We use the names of the pranas, and we use a mantra. So let me use a stone. Let me grab a stone to show you how to do this. It does not matter which stone, but it does. But it really does. Fine. Here's our stone. Okay. Since we're doing a practice, I can scoot in a little bit here. So first I'm going to offer this practice, and then I'm going to offer a mudra with a visualization, and we're going to do that one together. So remember, if you don't have anything to write this down with, the replays are on YouTube at Move with Change, and you can watch this again. Okay. You saw my stone? I chose kyanite. I chose kyanite to help me balance my throat chakra, because it gets a little bit monkey sometimes. Okay. So what this practice is when you offer, you can do this before any meal, you can do it in ceremony on a regular basis, you can do it at certain times of the year. This is a really good practice that I like to use in place of some of our, I would say, traditional, I guess, Thanksgiving practices, so later in the year. But this is how, it's great for writers and writing, yes it is. So this is how this practice goes. You take a piece of food, right? Blueberry, here I've got my kyanite, and you use different fingers to hold it. And with each position you hold it in, there is a mantra to go with it. I'm going to write that mantra here real quick. Do you guys love my board? I love my board. Let's not dump the board. Okay. So for each you hold this in, the mantra starts with Om. So you'd say Om, and then the name of the prana, the name of the movement of energy, and then Swaha. So Om Pranaya Swaha. Om Samanaya Swaha. Om Vayanaya Swaha. Om Udanaya Swaha. Om Apanaya Swaha. Right? So each one you add YA at the end. Okay? So if you have your journal or your inner light map right now, and you've already written down the names of each of these pranas and the directions of prana in the body, then all you have to do is add YA at the end, starting with Om Pranaya Swaha. So let's start with prana. Om Pranaya, you hold, each one you'll hold your thumb to different fingers. So for Om Pranaya, I have the, Air and ether are out. These channels are open, right? So this is for the upward movement of prana. And you don't have to hold it upward. You can hold it on the table. You can put it over the plate. You don't have to take it too far. You don't have to go running around with this. But Om Pranaya Swaha. Okay? The first two fingers are extended for prana. For prana. For apana, the last two fingers, earth and water, are extended. Notice that, like, they're not fully extended like the other one. They don't have to be. This is not an exact or anything. It's open them up and leave them open. They can be like nice and relaxed. They don't have to be firm. Om Apanaya Swaha. That's a cat. That's a cat in my window, in case you're wondering. Okay, so let's see. Prana, leaving the first two fingers open. Upward flow. Apana, leaving the last two fingers open. That's my downward flow. That's my yang and my yin energy. And then we have let's do samana. Samana, my digestive fire, my Agni energy, right? The energy that comes from the outside in. Those are the middle two fingers. So now I'm leaving air and water open. Hi, Debs. And then we have, and that's Samanaya, Om Samanaya Swaha. And then we have our Udana. We'll do Udana first, or next. Udana, leave only the pinky out. This is water. Circulation, right? Circulatory system, remember. So Udanaya Swaha, pinky out. For Vyana. For Vyana, you bring them all together, touching with the thumb and all the fingers. Vyanaya. Vyanaya. Swaha. So if you would like to use that as a ceremony offering nourishment, right, to source or to all beings or for the benefit of all, for all of creation, right, you can do that. That's okay if your fingers are curved. The only point, right, the important focus is just to make sure that you're holding the food or the stone. But this is a practice that is done with food and as a meaning of offering food, offering nourishment to something much larger than you, right? The important part is just to make sure that the contact on the food is only the thumb and those 2 or 3 or whatever fingers, right? So take that practice with you. It also works to balance invite balance of all of these pranas within your system. Okay, any questions on that one? Someday, when I have somebody who wants to come and help me edit all of these live classes, what I want to do is cut each of these little pieces. That practice I just offered, I want to be able to cut it and then reshare it. Ideally, that's the kind of stuff I'd be posting on Patreon and maybe even put into an actual membership so that you guys can, instead of sitting through 3-hour, 4-hour classes for these different tools, you can just go to a folder and get the exact things. Eventually, I'd like to create a bigger course on this stuff instead of just sharing it all, but this is the authentic way right now. So, oh, thank you for the gifts, friend. Okay, so that is a practice to help balance the pranas, the flow of prana in your system. And you can also find that on YouTube and other places if you want to listen to the mantras, especially if you're new to Sanskrit and you want to listen to the sounds. One of the things I love about Sanskrit is it's more about the resonance, the frequency, the energetics of what you're saying, and so much less about the exact spelling. That's why sometimes you find Sanskrit is spelled a little differently here and there, and that's because it's a language of resonance. That's a language of energy. Whitney, you can contact me through YouTube. You can contact me here through TikTok. You can email me. Don't email me. My email inbox is all full of all kinds of stuff. I'm really hard to catch on email. But on Patreon, I believe I maybe even have a contact number on there. I have a VoIP number that has been my business number forever. So you can contact me anywhere you want to contact me. But if you're already in the Discord, or if you want to help and you're not in the Discord, definitely come get in the Discord, because that's where I'm going to create a nice little group of of people who want to help, and so we can have one space where we all work together. Yeah. So I definitely would appreciate help. I definitely need the help. It's been mostly me for the last over a little more than a year now, and it's been a lot of fun. But I know we can step it up a little bit more. I know we can offer more. I know I can create more. I've got over a year. I've got several years worth of classes actually that need to be cut and edited, and we can create amazing content. And maybe I can actually take some time off from teaching classes. I don't know. Anybody who has any time to help, even if you just have like a couple hours a week and you're not annoyed by listening to me talk, then go watch the replays. If you want to comment, in fact, if you want to go comment on the replays, you don't want any responsibility for it, but you want to go comment on the replays when you're watching and say, hey, at this time, that was an amazing practice, or that was a really cool quote, or that was a really cool thing, and you can just put it in there in comments. I'll see those comments and I will use that as, because I have a whole list of things that need to be clipped, and I can give that to people who have more time to edit. So you guys can help. Anybody who wants to support and help, you guys can help in a million different ways. Just ask. All you can do is ask. Thank you, friends. And reviews are helpful too. Yes, YouTube is like, YouTube just kind of sits there. It doesn't really share my stuff. And no matter how much I put out there, no matter how much you guys engage, it seems to just kind of be flat, and has been for some time. So I don't know how to stimulate YouTube, but I know how to do TikTok. So, okay. So before, yay, I actually have a good timing on today. We are going to end at 4, so we still have more than a half hour here. Yes, freeze content. Yes, awesome. Cool. Okay, thank you guys all, especially those of you who jumped in just now and were like, how do I help? Thank you, thank you. So each week I am offering a new mudra, still offering mudras, and if you'll notice, I'm really slacking on making the content. So I'm offering them either in these Wednesday classes, or I'll offer them, we will always practice them on Fridays, along with a pranayama technique. So remember, on Friday I have chair yoga, and we will practice this mudra again, and we will practice it with a pranayama technique as well as with our chair flow. And that's at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So without further ado, the mudra that I've chosen for this week. Thank you so much, Whitney. All this stuff I'm studying all alone. That was my experience, honestly, until 2020. Until about 2020. Most of my experience has been to be, hey, butterfly, how are you? Have been to be kind of like behind a glass wall, like throat chakra, really interesting throat chakra stuff, not able to communicate this stuff in a variety of ways for a variety of reasons. Turned out part of it was my own imbalance and my own system needing to be cleared, and building trust with myself. So, and I know a lot of people had major shifts. We had a lot of astrology. I'm an astrologer as well. We had a lot of astrology and planetary things that majorly shifted back then. And just Earth, like Schumann resonance stuff. The Earth itself is evolving, right? I really like to note everything in the universe is is operating upon this Fibonacci sequence, right? It's a spiral that doesn't just loop back in on it. It doesn't just circle back in. It's opening and ascending, right? Yes, there's also closing aspects too. But if we look at it like that, we recognize that the entire universe is encouraging your enlightenment. Just like my entire system is actually reaching for my wellness, my authenticity, right? It is only in my imbalance that my system refrains from expanding. Usually out of fear, doubt, shame, that kind of stuff, out of imbalances. I try to get away from even calling them things. Imbalance can keep me from expanding in the way that my system is wanting to do. So when emotions come up again and again, when situations you don't want to be in come up again and again, when you notice the same frickin' patterning again and again and again, it is your system and the universe and source and everyone working for your healing, bringing it to your attention, saying, hey, this is out of alignment. Can we fix it now? Can we align it now? But most of us are so used to going, no, Anger isn't supposed to be looked at. Doubt isn't supposed to be, I'm not supposed to, like, shame, I'm just going to tuck it way back in here. And every time shame rears up again, it gets louder and louder and louder and louder and causes us more and more chaos. Why? Then we say, it's attacking me. My emotions are out to get me. My ego is thwarted. I would like to just cut it off. I'd like to just amputate. I'd like to just... Your allies, your system is your ally. And what's happening is you are repeatedly denying your best fucking friends. Yeah. Sorry, I get a little bit excited about that one because it changed everything when I realized that my system was not my enemy. Right? In the words of my mother, if you create an enemy of yourself, it's a battle you will fight every single day. And that becomes the war you wage your entire life long. Do you really want to live like that? Well, no, but everything outside of me tells me that's how we're supposed to live. That's conditioning. That's, dare I say, on purpose. That's by design. Knowledge is power. This stuff can help you balance, align, strengthen, find your inner captain, find your inner source of power and wisdom and strength, and energies or powers that be outside of you that want to instead harvest your resources, control you as slave labor and other things like that, and push and pull you around and use you to their ends, are not going to want you to self-actualize. They're not going to want you to evolve. They're not going to want you to become enlightened. They're going to specifically turn you away from every single tool and practice that is going to give you the power back, right? Powerless people are far easier to control. Okay, with that said, Diana, move with change. Yes. Whitney, I like to use that one. I like the way you said that. The universe is conspiring on our behalf. Yes, your entire system is conspiring on your behalf. Every emotion, every ego, your ego is your friend. Anxiety is your friend. I take anxiety with me when I go out in public, and oftentimes anxiety sits in the passenger seat and goes, oh my God! But I am a friend to my anxiety, so I reach over and I put my hand on my friend. And I say, take a couple of breaths. We'll be okay. We're going to get through this together. I know it's scary, but the more we do this, the easier it's going to get. And some days, it also means saying, you know what, anxiety? You're right. We don't have to go in the grocery store right now. Fuck that. Let's go take a walk. Because when we see it as a friend instead of an enemy, now we have compassion and patience and understanding. Now we can build trust. One of the biggest things I think most of us lack is trust with ourselves. We may love ourselves, but many of us do not value ourselves. We may know ourselves, but many of us do not trust ourselves. So, Jen, it's not running, it's coping and prioritizing. That's right. There are times I run, but I run laughing, holding hand in hand with anxiety, like, ha, fuck those guys, they don't even know, we're off to another adventure. Anyway, okay, so, star, insight, in vision, translate with care, they power. Our mudra for this week is the Ashva Ratna mudra. It is translated as the bejeweled horse, or the many-jeweled temple, and it is done like so. Bring your hands together. Keep your pinky and your ring finger extended. Keep the thumb where it is, and just fold those first two fingers over. It's going to look like that. See my horsey? It's going to look like that. Bring that to your solar plexus. This mudra is specific to digestive fire. So if you notice holding this mudra, remember that if you notice any adverse experiences when you're holding a mudra, first check in and ask yourself, may I continue? Is this okay? Remember, we're building trust. Is this okay? Can I continue? If your system goes, oh, fuck no, maybe take a break and try again later, or put this down and don't use this one, because there's other ones for you, right? You can use other ones. Star, exactly. And I think we're dealing with, yeah, yes. All right, so this is the mudra for perspective. It's the mudra for balancing and strengthening our digestive fire. If you notice you get really hot when you're holding this and it's okay and you can sit in the fire, then do so. If it's too intense, freaking let it go for a minute or even take a break, right? But the important piece to our practice is to align our intention with our attention, right? My intention is going to be to sit with this mudra, to experience the benefits of this mudra, and my attention is going to remain on that goal. This practice that I'm going to offer is a little visualization. If I can quit gabbing away about other things, we'll get to the visualization here. So that'll help hold your attention, right? I'll offer some visuals, and when you're there, if you notice your mind monkeys are chattering away, or there's sounds outside, or your brain's like, you have shit to do, and you can actually stay for a few more moments, we just bring the monkeys back into center. It's like herding cats sometimes, I know, but every single time the mind pulls away from our intention, I encourage you to meet it with curiosity and willingness. Bring it back in. Curiosity, funny that my brain thought of that random thing right now. Willing to acknowledge that you exist. And willing to bring my focus back into my intention, to realign myself, my intention, and my attention. And then I meet everything that comes up with curiosity and willingness. Why? Because curiosity and willingness is the ability to receive. If I meet it with judgment, shame, guilt, frustration, I'm not going to receive, right? I'm going to create more tension in my system, and the point of our practices is to release tension, replace tension with intention only. Ashva Ratna Mudra. Keep your pinky and your ring fingers together, thumb together. Drop those first two fingers so they fold over, and hold your little horsey here at the solar plexus. So the reason we're using this mudra today and this month, when we're talking about the elements in the body, and we're talking about the koshas, and the overall, right, the energy and the elements and energy movement in our system, is because this mudra also works to release us from attachments, as well as clear away negative thinking. And as a little side note here, we have a whole bunch of planets right now smashing into Pisces, moving through Pisces, which Pisces is the deepest, darkest depths, the expansiveness of the depths of the ocean, right? And negativity, especially our repressed, pushed down, unconscious negativity, beliefs and fears and whatnot, can be accessed in those depths of ocean. So today, we are going to use the planetary energies to help us, to help improve upon our ability to use this mudra to open our third eye and to clear away our negative patterns that block communication between the higher self and what? The lower self, the darker, deeper well of self. Okay. Justin, I do not talk about dieting on lives because that is a topic that some people can take off onto. I'd like to be more responsible than that. If you'd like to come into the Discord, I'm happy to talk about stuff like that in there. I don't do so on lives. If you want to send me a message and ask, happy to share there. But I like to, especially with nutrition and food, whatnot, because we culturally have some really big imbalances. I don't just, share it like that. Okay. You are your own guru. What works for you may not work for everybody else, right? Okay, so Ashva Mudra. Let's go ahead and close our eyes, and we're going to take 3 deep breaths to fully arrive for our practice. You can do this seated upright. You can do this laying down. You can do this while you're walking. Don't do it while you're driving, and probably don't close your eyes if you're walking. The only thing I ask is that you make sure that you're not slouching. So whether don't be curled up laying down or slouching, right, in your chair. You can lean back in your chair as well. However, we're going to keep our central energy channel nice and open. So if you don't have your eyes closed already, go ahead and close them. Hold your mudra, and we're going to first begin by inhaling the breath through the lungs and into the belly. Take a deep breath. And exhale through the mouth. Inhale again, this time expanding your rib cage in all directions, front, sides, and back. And sigh it out. Inhale once more, this time lifting the heart and lifting through the top of the head to elongate the spine. And as you exhale, gently tuck your chin, allow the shoulder blades to melt down the back. Go ahead and give yourself a couple of wiggles, maybe flap your elbows to release any remaining tension in the back, in the muscles, in the arms, in the shoulders, in the neck, in the jaw, in the feet, in the butt cheeks. Wherever you notice tension, go ahead and seal the lips and find a comfortable, steady rhythm of inhales and exhales. For just a moment, we're going to let the breath sink us into this internal space. Whatever you experience here, meet it with curiosity and willingness. And just listen to the breath. Focus on the breath. Meditation is a personal practice. The more you sit with it, the more it will resonate within you. It's not about perfection. It's about being present with the process. Stay with the breath. Sinking deeper and deeper into this internal space. Begin walking you through a visualization. However, if you are someone who does not visualize or struggles to visualize, I encourage you to follow along, feeling into the sensations. You may not visualize something in your mind, but you may notice a smell, or a feeling, or a sound, or a taste, or any of the above. Open up your perception to receive whatever is available in this space. Continue with the breath, slowly inhaling and exhaling. And on your next exhale, keeping your physical eyes closed, go ahead and pop that third eye open, gazing through the third eye. As you do, notice that a forest begins to manifest around you. Allow this forest to be however it shows up today. Opening your perception to this space. Notice any sights, sounds, sensations. Take it all in. As you look around the forest, taking in everything you can perceive, allowing it to fill your experience. You notice up ahead in the distance, there's a small clearing, and you can see the light of a fire flickering between the trees. In this moment, you remember this is why you're here. So you slowly begin walking, heel to toe, intention in every step, attention in every movement, intention in your focus. Begin walking toward the clearing, taking your time, noticing the details as you pass them, allowing the fire to slowly grow bigger and bigger. When you reach the edge of the clearing, pause here. Notice the fire and allow that fire to be whatever it is today. No need to change it. As you are looking into this fire, from your periphery, you notice and hear a horse walking into this clearing from the forest. Notice every detail you can perceive of this horse. This horse is calm. This horse is strong. This horse has a peaceful energy about it. There is no fear, no concern, no worry in your heart, nor in the horse. You lock eyes for a moment. Then the horse walks toward the center of the fire, warming itself by the flames. As it does, as it reaches the fire, you notice that the fire settles into a warm, bright, steady flame. Not chaotic, not too small, not too big, not too anything. Just right. The horse lays down beside the fire, resting its chin on the earth, gently opening and closing its eyes, seeming to almost meditate with the fire, so you decide to follow suit. Sit yourself beside the fire, anywhere that feels appropriate, with the horse, next to the horse, across from the horse. And along with the horse, gaze into the fire, softly opening and closing your eyes. Feel the warmth on your face, on your chest, on your belly, on your knees, on your feet. Notice the warmth, steady, glowing. As you feel into the warmth, you notice the point on your brow, the Ajna chakra, becoming warmer and warmer and warmer, almost until it's a little hot. Just this point on your brow, warmer and warmer, burning away any blockages, anything stuck, anything rigid. And as it does so, it travels through the third eye, the tunnel that connects the front of the third eye at the brow to the back of the third eye at the base of your skull, at your pineal gland. Let that fire slowly simmer as embers glow through your third eye channel, clearing away any debris, anything old, musty, outdated, stuck, anything ready to go. Keep breathing. Stay with the sensation through the third eye. Release any tension in your system, keeping your attention on the intention to be present with this practice. Emulating this calm, strong horse, wise for all its experience, wise in its centeredness, in its power, in its insight. Take a deep breath in and acknowledge the same qualities within yourself. Exhale, releasing any doubt, any fear, any shame, any voices that poo-poo this idea that you could be as strong and wise and powerful and grounded as a horse, as this beautiful, horse. Take a few more breaths. Inhaling strength, courage, clarity, balance. Exhaling whatever is ready to go. Stay with your experience as long as you would like to. When you're ready to close your practice, first open your mind's eye already one more time. Gaze into the horse's eyes. Offer a nod. Offer gratitude. Thank the horse for sharing this space. Thank the fire for keeping you both warm. Thank the forest for offering shelter. Release your mudra and either bring your hands into prayer or simply lay one over the other over your heart in gratitude for the space, in gratitude for the practice. And slowly watch as the forest, the fire, the horse begins to fade away, almost as if it's floating away from you, getting further and further away, darker and darker and darker, until all that's left is the darkness behind your closed eyelids. One more deep breath in. And as you exhale, go ahead and flutter your eyes open. You can also rub your palms together, warming them up, and place them over your eyes before fluttering them open. Ooh. Return to that practice anytime you'd like. Court. My doggo said hello. So remember, the replay for that practice is on YouTube. We're currently live on YouTube, so the replay will be. I encourage you, if you have your inner light map or you have a journal, to write down your experiences. A lot of times during those practices, we want to get distracted because we see things or hear things or experiencing things. We're like, oh my God, that was so cool. And we want to pop out, right? So the practice, so having a journal or having that inner light map with you can be a really good way to, remind the mind, hey, we can write it all down afterwards. We don't have to examine it now. We don't have to think too much about it now. Just allow it to happen, and what's most important will remain. Oh, Whitney, my YouTube and everywhere, is Move with Change. Hi. For those of you who are just joining or do not know who I am, my name is Reverend Bora. I'm an interfaith minister. I am a movement facilitator, which is what I'm doing here. And I'm your Shenanigan shaman. And my business, soon to be a nonprofit, is Move with Change. Why? Because life offers us a single constant: change. And the question really is, how are you going to move with it? How fluid are we going to be? Or how rigid are we going to be to resist? So, Move with Change. I Move with Change on YouTube. I Move with Change on TikTok. I Move with Change on Patreon. I Move with Change in a couple other places, and you're welcome to go find me if you can find me, but I'm not in all the places. And if there's another movement change and it's not me, let me know. Change equals the guarantee of life. Just the one, right? But that is an opportunity. Change equals the opportunity of life. Constant flow, ebb and flow, rise and fall, back and forth, in and out, all around. There is constant movement in life. And movement gives us opportunity so that we don't become stuck, rigid, complacent. So, one last time. The Ashva Ratna Mudra. Keep your thumbs, your pinkies, and your ring fingers. Bring your hands, palms together. Keep your thumbs, your pinkies, and your ring fingers together, and fold those first two fingers over. Hold this here at the solar plexus. This offers us many things, including a boost in our Agni, or our digestive fire, the Samana energy that moves from the outward in our system, right? So the energy that comes in and energizes and fortifies and processes things in our system. It also helps to clarify the third eye and to release our attachments, especially to things we cannot control, and to break us from, not break, I don't like to use that term, to shift negative thought patterns. So the practice we did today was to go sit with a horse by the fire, because this is also translates to the bejeweled horse. Oh, thank you, Power and Light Within Us. Really like what I'm teaching. Looking forward to watching more and checking out your YouTube. Anybody, you guys who are just filtering through, I know that it's really hard to go from one platform to another. I've been having the issue for years. But if you can make it to another platform, go follow me on YouTube. That's where I keep all my replays. And eventually, I think if we build enough of a thing, we can actually do more cool shit over there too. Yeah. So go join me on YouTube. And go find me on Patreon. You don't have to purchase anything. You can become a free member there. And I try to make sure that my most important announcements go over there. But over there, you'll also find the shop, which has mini workshops, has the inner light map. I have a couple other things in there too. And you'll also find memberships. So if you like what I do, if you resonate with what I do, this is what I do full time. So any and all support that you guys can offer, I do appreciate. I'm not going to nickel and dime you for it. I'm not going to put, gates up to keep you guys out of the information or out of the community, because knowledge is power. And in a time where we are inundated, overwhelmed with information that can be any degree of truth and falsehood, right? One of our biggest tasks as a collective is to find our inner truth, because now it's information overload. It's hard to fucking tell who said what, when, and where, and what it means and why. And we have all these different perspectives, completely opposite sometimes on things that we used to take for granted as singular truths. That's part of evolution, but it can also make it really hard for us to figure out what's really for us and what's really not. The stuff I'm offering this year in our Inner Light series, in these classes that I'm offering, the other classes that I'm offering, the tools and the content that I'm creating, is with the intention of assisting you in creating your own inner light map, so that you can familiarize yourself with your system, with how it works, with how to use these tools, and how your energy has settled, how it interacts with the internal and external stimuli. Thank you, friend. And at what time of day it does too, right? And these are the very tools that have brought me my own healing. If you had met me 5 years ago, this is not the same person you'd see. In fact, that person was quite a bit off center. I am far more authentic and centered now than I ever was, but here's the kicker. I get to fall in love with myself now because I didn't love myself before. I get to develop a trusting relationship with myself for the very first time ever, because I did not fucking trust me at all. I get to learn to be proud of myself, because I really lacked that self-esteem, and I relied on others to give me that self-esteem. Progress is key, right? I seem very grounded. Actually, I'll be honest. These classes, teaching, sharing this stuff, doing these practices, gives me so much grounding. I teach and share these because this has been my last 3-4 years of personal work. Did I have this information before? Yeah, I've had it for a while. Have I known how to do energy work? Yeah, since I was a kid, right? Have I studied more and gotten more information and all these other things? Yeah, I had it all here, or stored away on a library or in a toolbox. But I was not actually applying the things, many of the things. So I committed a couple years ago to actually do that, because I nearly lost my life because of those circumstances. And ultimately, because I was not willing to do that work for myself. I was not willing to value myself enough to learn to love and trust myself and learn to do things for myself in a way that was supportive and helpful, like making friends with anxiety instead of just fighting anxiety all the time. Remember that every part of your system is your ally. One of the best things you can do for yourself is make friends with yourself, is repair your relationship with yourself. Do that first. And I say that because it will make every other relationship and situation in your life that much easier. Power and light within us. I experienced a Kundalini awakening almost a year ago. My world has been flipped upside down. We were talking earlier about the last several years for people have been really major, changing, relearning everything. I talk a lot in here about how we're rewiring our bodies, our brains, our spirit, our emotions, our energy bodies, right? A lot of us are in the process right now of rewiring shit. And it's okay to take a little extra time with your tasks. It's okay to give yourself a little extra comfort. It's okay to pause before you make a decision when you're literally rewiring your whole system. A really good example of this is I just recently in rewiring, right? I've been doing this for some time now, several years now, in rewiring, I found that I went to go wash my hands, right? I went to go wash my hands as I often do. And when I did so, I went like this with my hands and like scrubbed them, right? Watch this. My face cinched up. My shoulders came up. My shoulder blades popped out of my back so that I could go like this with my hands. And then I smashed my hands together with my elbows out like this and even my chin in a little bit. Why so serious? Why so tense? We're just washing our hands. Sure, maybe friction is important, right? But it's not really going to help me to go like this and create tension and pain in other places in my body. I unfortunately ended up with diagnosable chronic conditions now because of tension in my system, because of ignoring my system, because of many, many, many choices. And instead of feeling shame and rage, right, at myself, which I did initially, I'm learning to make friends with my shame. I'm learning to make friends with my anger and frustration, especially the parts of me that are frustrated and angry and shameful about me. Right? Star reminds me of Sir Lancelot discovering the true nature of the old woman in the woods. That's it, right? Many of us are turning away the wise parts of ourselves because we don't think they're pretty or perfect, or no, they're not just exactly as we expected them to be. But the reality is in those, especially your ugliest, scariest moments, are actually where some of your biggest healing is. Now, I didn't say go jump in the dive end of your scary parts and dive deep and try to, do that. Like, we can truly, and for those of you who have experienced Kundalini stuff and whatnot and deeper experiences of energy and meditation, we can actually cause harm. I like to put it this way. We are often used to working in the material world. It's very physical. It's very, tangible. This is hard stuff to hang, put a nail in a wall. You've got to hammer that thing to get it in there. To build muscle, you've got to really work that out, right? That's the physical, external reality. The internal reality is so much more delicate. In many of my explorations, it's spider webs, right? It's dust, specks of dust that float gently through the air. That's where I find the kernels of wisdom. Not in the ego screaming at me, but in the quieter corners of self. In the places where instead of sitting still, I've run through them or just skipped them entirely or closed the door on them and kept them locked away. If you come in swinging and screaming and demanding and judging, Your defenses will defend you against you. If you can't get in, honestly, you can't get in by force. Not that I've experienced. And when I do try to do so by force, there's pushback. If you're trying to change your brain patterns by force, you'll know that there's pushback. And it seems like the more you force, the more pushback you get. Equal and opposite reaction. So, to cultivate gentleness, patience, we can at least start with curiosity and willingness. We may not always be able to be loving. We may not always be able to be patient. We may not always be able to be excited about the things that we're doing. They may be uncomfortable or scary or frustrating. But if we at least commit to meeting these things with curiosity and willingness, we'll at least showing up with open hands rather than judgment, shame, guilt, frustration, which says, I'm not here to learn or receive anything. I'm here to have a fight. And your ego will fight with you all day long. That's cool. Your emotions will fight with you all day long. Sure. Whatever you need, friend. Those are your best friends. Willing to fight with you for years just to make sure you get the message that they care, that they're here, and that they're here to support you. All right, my friends. Courtney, I'm just mad. My emotional self has said that for decades, which is why, so one of my favorite recommendations, and the last thing I'll offer here, is that if any of you are doing any of this work, it doesn't matter where you perceive yourself to be on your path or on your journey, this is something we can all start. And it's a daily practice, especially if you say you don't have time for daily practices. Use this daily practice. Take minimum 5 minutes. Why 5 minutes? Because it takes 5 minutes for energy to circulate through your system. So like when I'm holding a mudra, it takes about 5 minutes for this to adjust the energy in my system and for me to even start really experiencing it. Yes, sometimes we can feel the movement right away, right? But for it to actually start doing its job, it takes about 5 minutes. So I use that as a baseline. And what I suggest is to, if you wake up with an alarm, set your alarm in the morning with a 5-minute snooze. When it goes off, hit that snooze button and sit there, lay there, just being with yourself. Just being with your breath, with your thoughts, with your energy, with your experience. And see what comes up. Thank you for the gift, friend. See you. Be curious and willing. Show up for those 5 minutes curious and willing. Most of us can spend 5 minutes. And if you can't do it right in the morning, do it before bed. Do it in the middle of the day. Do it whenever you feel like doing it. But here's the important part. Show up every day. You deserve at least 5 minutes of self-care a day. Don't you think? So, Megan, or no, Mark, is this Buddhism or Hinduism? Actually, I'm a non-denominational reverend. And so through my studies and my exploration, I take pieces from the deep pieces from a lot of these teachings and weave them together. A lot of people will come in and ask, do I believe in God or do I follow Christ? And absolutely, one of the closest relationships that I've had through my journey is my relationship with Christ. And I have had direct experiences, which is what put me on the path of spirituality. I thought I wanted to be a nun when I was a little girl. I was in Catholic church, and it was actually my relationship with Christ that led me away from the Catholic Church, and it's my relationship with Source, with God, with whatever term you particularly want to use is okay. That I don't even know how to say that. My childhood was full of some pretty tumultuous experiences, and we'll just leave it at that. We don't need to go a whole lot deeper. We don't need to talk about all the details anymore. But during those experiences, often during those experiences, I was pulled out of my body And every time it happened, I had the sensation of a hand on my shoulder or an arm across my chest, sometimes hands on my head. Every single time I was given the gift of watching what happened, but not experiencing it in the same way. And it was the only time as a child that I felt connected, protected, loved. Does Source exist? Something greater than us? Something outside of our physical matrix self? Yeah. In my experience, yes. But your experience is yours. Your journey is yours. And you need to be here to do your journey. And that may be an evangelical Christian journey. That may be a Hinduism journey. That may be an atheism journey. That may be whatever journey it's going to be. But we are not here to emulate each other. And Christ never, ever, ever told me that I was better than anyone else or that anyone else was better than me. The reason I'm non-denominational is because the deeper truths within these systems are often layered upon layered upon layered with human stuff. And there's benefit to learning all those pieces too. And for some of us, there's benefit to following those parts too. But that's like looking at the rainbow after a rain and seeing all these beautiful colors and saying, yeah, that's all nice, but yellow is only the right color. And if you don't live a yellow life, well, there's something awful and bad about you. And nobody who, everybody living any life other than yellow is obviously going to be damned forever. That's called judgment. And I know that as soon as I start judging others, I stop seeing myself. I start judging myself. I limit my ability to perceive what's what's available to me in the world. Because I'm not meeting it like this, I'm meeting it like this. And of course, we would think it was silly if somebody looked up at the rainbow and said, only yellow is the only good color of the rainbow. We'd call them cuckoo. We'd be like, what's the matter with you? It's a rainbow. What are you talking about? The spectrum of experience is all of the experience, not just one. I yellow and ice cream. No one's ever heard of Violet before. Judgment versus grace. My fair way. Look, my prism is doing it for me. You guys probably can't see them. There we go. I have my little rainbow prism things happening over here from my ones that I keep up there in the window to remind me at all times. A prism is the perfect example. Because what is it, right? We have that prism. And that is the representation of our material experience, the matrix, our material world, right? This is tangible. It's physical. It's the lens. It's the illusion. When consciousness, source, light, shines through it, what happens to that oneness? It splits so that we can see all the different parts. Isn't that beautiful? Source taking itself apart so we can experience all the pieces. Come on, I know some of you took apart the remote control and put it back together just so you could see what it was like. I know I took apart my sandwiches just to see what the fuck was in there. I wasn't going to just eat it like that. So next time you run across somebody who's a different color in any capacity than you, I invite you to see them as an equal and valuable and imperative part of the whole, part of the rainbow. All right. I love you all. Replays. I got sun in my eyeballs. Replays are on YouTube. Dog wants to play ball, so we're going to go do that. Replays are on YouTube at Move with Change. Please go follow me on YouTube so you can keep up to date on, or you can have all those replays and stuff. Please go follow me. If you're on YouTube, come follow me on TikTok because I do a whole lot of interaction on TikTok. It offers more interaction and we have a bigger following, so there's a whole lot more over here. And And follow me on Patreon, because while you don't have to purchase anything on Patreon to follow me over there, you can become a free member. You can grab memberships over there. There's a shop over there, and I try to put the important announcements over there as well. If you have any questions ever about any of this, or even want to debate these things with me, you can send me a message here. You can join us in the Discord. You can comment on my content. And what I love about TikTok is you can comment on my content on TikTok, and I can make you a video showing the thing. That's the best place to do it. If you comment on my content, it's way easier. If you send me a message asking a question or ask me in the Discord somewhere else, sometimes it's harder for me to bridge both of all those gaps. So, yeah. It's Wednesday. Our next class is Friday morning at 10 a.m. Please look for some schedule changes, because I am going to be shifting some stuff around as we move through the year, me trying to figure out how to be most authentic, to show up most authentically. Thank you, friends, for the gifts, for the love. Thank you for being here. Remember, right now we have Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific time and Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Those are the 2 live classes I have, and they are here on TikTok and over on YouTube. Okay. I love you all. Good night, YouTube. Thank you.